Well, first of all, glad everybody's here. Obviously, it's a great time to be here after the win that we had. Before we get into the game, just like to say a big thank you for the 13,600 fans that came to the ball game. What a great crowd. The best in ETSU football history, and that's what I challenged everybody to do, and obviously we did it. And it was a very hot day on top of it. I can tell you that from the sunburn that I got along with the rest of these coaches. But to have a chance to play in the Bristol Motor Speedway was a very unique opportunity and something that all of us will be able to remember for a lifetime. The outcome of the game even made it more special. But when you look at the fan support we had playing in the Bristol Motor Speedway, and again, I like to say thank you to Jerry Caldwell, Bruton Smith, and everybody at the Bristol Motor Speedway that made this opportunity possible, because they went above and beyond to make sure that we had a chance to do this. Our players have been truly excited about having that opportunity, and to get a win against an outstanding Western Carolina football team made it even more special. So with all that said, talking about the game a little bit, game that had a lot of highs and a lot of lows. I think the thing that I appreciate and respect about this football team is they understand how to come back from adversity. They've dealt with it for 2 years, the highs and the lows, the wins and the losses, and they never get too high or too low. When we were behind 21-3, I thought we had a little bit of a downer, but they jumped right back, and then we scored right before halftime, so I felt like we went into halftime with a lot of momentum. And then obviously the second half, we came out with a good stinger from the opening kickoff to there. I think we scored, Kevin, if I'm not mistaken, the last 5 series that we had, which is truly outstanding. You know, some of the things that I'd like to point out a little bit is we scored on the last 5 possessions of the game. Western Carolina had 308 yards at halftime, and after that they only had 135, so that's a great compliment not only to our defense for doing a great job of stopping them, but also our offense, because they didn't let them get on the field, and that had a lot to do with it. I think the 2 things that's most impressive, obviously number 1 was our time of possession. We had the ball 37, almost 38 minutes as compared to their, a lot to do with us winning the ball game. And then the other thing was the third down possession ratio. We had 13 of 19. They had 4 of 11, which was only 36%. Those 2 things plus the turnover ratio, which was basically the same, that normally is going to determine whether you win or lose a ball game. So I felt like we did what we needed to do to give ourselves a chance on paper to win. But you don't play the game on paper. I love the intestinal fortitude. 3/4, maybe 90% of our players have no clue what I was talking about when I used that term, but I know as old as most of y'all are that y'all do understand exactly what I meant. And I said that's basically guts and heart, and that's what they showed the entire ball game. But to get done what we got done, we cut down on our penalties in half. Did a good job on defense of moving our fronts around, which caused them to be a little jittery, and they jumped offside several times, so that was a plus for us. Kicking game, you look at it, J.J. German made both of his field goals, 43 and 30 yards. He made all of his PATs, and I think right now, if I'm not mistaken, how many extra points is that in a row for him? 28 in a row, which is pretty good, and especially with a young program. So we're excited about him. Marion Watson did a really nice job. He's averaged over 40 yards a game the last 2 games, so he's doing some good things there. And I think the thing that's most impressive, he got it dropped inside the 10 again, and I think that's 7 times in the last 2 games, and that's truly outstanding. So he's done a good job there. And we had one snap that was not very good, and he was able to get the ball off, as that could have been a disaster during the game. So Marion's done a really nice job there. One thing that we are doing on offense, we're spreading the ball all over the place. You know, we had 10 receivers catch, so it's not like they can say that's their go-to guy and they can lock him down and we don't have anybody else to throw to, because we'll throw it to any of them. And I think we do have probably 10 or 11 wide receivers that are really good football players, and that will give us an opportunity to win a lot of football games. And all of them made catches. You look at the catch Drake Powell made, Chad Pritchard, Hunter Wyke, you know, the list goes on and on. Vincent Lowe made, didn't have any big catches. I'm talking about long yardage catches, but he made some key catches. And like I say, they just continue to do well. Jawan Stinson He's just as steady can be. I don't think people realize how quick that young man is. I mean, when he gets in a hole now, he can make that thing move over 6 inches in a hurry, and a lot of people have a hard time getting him down. That's just like the last touchdown that we scored. If you look at it, he shouldn't have scored a touchdown, but because of his quickness, he was able to slide step about a yard to the right side, and he had the strength to get it in the end zone. And obviously, that was a big play of the game. Defensively, we went into the ball game. We knew that they had really good skill people, which they did. Quarterback is going to be, he already is a really good player, and he's going to be an outstanding player. He can throw it and throw it well. As he gets more confident in his running, he's going to be even a better runner, but he's got great athletic skills as far as running and throwing. So, he's a guy that down the road is going to be really good. But we went into the ball game feeling like the first thing we had to do was stop the run. Trez Newsome, the running back, was all-conference last year, preseason All-American this year. He rushed for over 1,000 yards. This particular game, he had 11 carries for 32 yards, so there's absolutely no doubt that was one of the big reasons that we were able to keep them under control and make sure they didn't get in the end zone. The receiving group that they had, very athletic, probably won't find a group any more athletic than they had, so I was very proud of our secondary to be able to shut them down for the most part. Obviously, we gave up some throws and catches, but we competed. We had, I think, 4 or 5 pass breakups, and I'm talking about when the ball was up in the air. And, when you got 5'9" defensive backs dealing with 6'3" wide receivers, that tells you what kind of athletes we've got because they were able to time it and knock it down. So, overall, a great win for the ETSU Bucks, a great win for our community, great win for our university, and I'm proud to be part of this program. These two guys here, obviously both of them have done a great job for us, and he's been the strength of the offensive line so far and shown a lot of intestinal fortitude going in the right direction. And then Paul obviously has been a steadying factor in the secondary. Him and Ryan Powers, I do feel like it's safety. That's one of the reasons we've been so secure on our tackles in the secondary, and that's one thing we probably didn't do as good a job of last year as we would like to have, is make plays in the secondary, which is hard to do anyway. But those guys have got them down. They've given us a chance to go play in and play out and make some plays. Talking about Wofford, we're getting ready to deal with a really good football team. I'm going to say this and make sure that you understand this is a very positive comment. They remind me a lot of a Naval Academy team, a West Point team, Georgia Tech. They are very sound in what they do. They're not extremely complicated, but what they do really well. And if you do not take care of your job, that's when they make a lot of big things happen. They've got outstanding, strong, physical running backs. Their quarterback does a really good job of reading, and they're not scared to pitch it out on the corner. Their offensive line are nasty. When I say nasty, what they like to do is get you on the ground so that gives their running backs a chance to run the ball like they need to. You look at them, I think right now they're averaging over 300 yards a game rushing. If you can rush for that many times, you're going to have a chance to win every ball game you play. Defensively, they're, I think, the top 10 in the country in total defense. A lot of that's based because of what they do on offense. You got to realize that that they got beat by an Ole Miss football team that moved the ball pretty well on Alabama this past week. So, and they played them pretty well. I can't remember the exact score. I think it was like 35-17 or 14, something like that. But it was not a blowout by any means. And the reason that happened like that because they do a good job of controlling the ball. Never lose their poise, and like I say, they've had 2 wins. So we're going to have our hands full this week, but I think it's a great opportunity, a great challenge, and it's going to be what I've said every week. When we get into SoCon, which we are now, week in and week out, we're going to have to play up to the best of our ability to have a chance to win. But all that said, if we play as well as we can, then we feel like that we've got a great opportunity each and every week. And our players right now are very confident. I don't think we're cocky. I think and that's one thing that we've expressed, and I think they're mature enough to handle, is we need to be very humble in what we're doing and make sure that we continue to work hard to take this thing forward. Because right now we're 2-0, but we've only played 2 games. So we've got 9 more to go. So, nobody remembers how you start, they remember how you finish. So we've got a lot of work to do, but I like the direction this team is going. We've got great maturity. There's no question that last year helped us immensely this year as far as where we are. Our coaching staff has done a great job of bringing these guys along. Al Johnson's got to be complimented for what he's done. And then you've got to compliment our players for going out there and competing. The last 2 weeks we've had a chance to lose. I mean, we really have. I mean, it's that close to winning and losing. And when you have an opportunity to win close ball games at the end of the game, that's all you can ask for. And our guys have continued to fight back. But I think it says a whole lot about this football team to be behind this past week like we were and come back and win the ball game. So I'm proud of them. They should be proud. You should be proud of them. And like I say, we're just excited about moving on this next step. Again, it's going to be a challenge. Coach Mike Ayers, who is the coach at Wofford, has been for a number of years. He was the head coach at ETSU, very, very close friend of mine. I don't know if there's a guy in America that I respect any more than Mike Ayers. He's going to tell you like it is. He's going to be very honest and straightforward, and that's one thing I respect about him. Our players say I'm old school. He's probably older school. So, but great guy, and I know he'd like nothing more than to beat ETSU, and obviously we'd like nothing more than to beat him. So, I told somebody on a radio show this morning that one of the best pictures I've seen is when Billy Taylor was playing for him back when he played, and Billy's coming to the sidelines, and Coach Ayers is meeting him about 3 yards on the field from the sidelines, and it looked to me like he was not having very much good to say to Billy. So I know Coach Taylor's got great respect for him. He's been like a father figure to him. So again, like I say, you got to compliment Coach Ayers on what he's done for a number of years. And you can't stay at one place 16 or 17 years without winning a lot of ball games and doing things right. And he's been there that long, so that says a lot about his character as well as what he's done as a football coach. Questions?
You seem like you're kind of expecting good things to happen this year. Has anything surprised you so far?
Oh yeah, I mean, it surprised me, goods and bads. I mean, it surprised me that we got behind like we did this past week. It surprised me that we were able to jump back that quick. It surprised me that we were able to physically, I think, be the most physical football team the second half this past week, because you saw them. I mean, they were big and they're strong, and they had a lot of guys that could play man coverage. So for our guys to match our offensive line, and that's one thing I didn't talk about. Our offensive line, they never get enough credit, but they get all the blame. They need to get credit, because we would not be where we are as a football team right now without what our offensive line done. Coach Losey's done a great job of getting those guys mentally and physically tough and mean. Al Johnson's done a great job of getting them bigger and stronger. So we're excited about where we are on the offensive line right now, because they make everything tick. I mean, Austin's done so well, and a lot of us been because he's had good protection. Our running backs, we run the ball well, and a lot of that's because we've been able to run block better. So everything in that direction has been good.
Did everything that you did well against Kennesaw translate over to this kind of option?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, it's very, very similar. I mean, the best thing we can do is have played Kennesaw State in preparation for what we're getting ready to play this week. The thing that you got to realize that Wofford's been doing this for about 15 or 16 years. Kennesaw's only been doing it for 2 years now, so that part of it is different, because these guys that for Wofford that are juniors and seniors, they've been in this system for at least 3 years. So I think the thing you'll see that they do a great job of is, and most teams like that do. I remember Coach Hatfield when he's at Arkansas, and we used to play him when I was at Ole Miss. Very, very patient. The best thing you can ever do is get ahead of them by about 3 touchdowns, but they're not going to let you do that. They don't turn the ball over, and they eat up the clock. And they're not in the style points. They're not interested in beating somebody 50-0. They're interested in winning the football game, getting the game over with, running all the time off the clock, say I'm the victor. So we know that, and Coach Taylor knows that as well. Offensively, we got to do a good job of maintaining our time of possession and making sure we don't turn the ball over. But right now, what we need to do is do what we've been doing. If we do that, we'll be okay.
Coach, time of possession was such a big part of the game. Were you surprised you were able to rush for 205 yards against him? That was a huge part of it.
Very much so. I never in the world thought we'd keep the ball that long on time of possession, but as you can see by the score of the game, we needed to. That was a big factor in us winning the ball game, was the time of possession. But if you'd asked me before the game, I would have said if we can keep the ball 30 minutes, which is half the game, I'd have been very, very satisfied. Obviously, we kept it a lot longer than that. And like I say, the other key was stopping the running back, because Newsom is a really good football player. The other running back's a good player. but I think our ability to slow down the running game helped us win the ball game a great deal.
Austin was named Offensive Player of the Week this week.
Yeah, he was. I saw. Matter of fact, they've got several SoCon Players of the Week. I know he got one previous to that, but the real one is the one that came out today. So that's a great honor for him. He's turned in a really good leader. If I had to pick out 2 or 3 guys that I would say, quote, as a team captain type guy, it would be Austin. And he's done a really good job. I think one of the things he does is, even if he's not throwing the ball well or not having as good a game as he'd like to, he's always patting somebody on the tail and telling them, let's pick it up and move forward. But he's done a good job and throwing the ball extremely well. I mean, when you give him time now, he can throw a 15, 20-yard out about as well as you're going to see it thrown. I think the thing that probably not getting enough credit for is his running ability. I mean, I've told him time and time again, and that happened last week. I mean, they started not worrying about the run with him so much, and he got them in trouble. And because he got them in trouble, that opened up some passing lanes. But he does a good job on the read option that we run a little bit, and I think it keeps most people honest because of his ability to do that.
Other questions for Coach? That's great.
Appreciate y'all being here. Hopefully we can have another smiling contest next week.